Alrighty, welcome everybody to Econ Chat's videos designed to help you be successful in class and on the milestone and maybe, possibly, even in life. And welcome to a brand new unit. We're going to be starting microeconomics, which means we have some new videos for you. And this one, going to be bringing in some new props. I just hope you don't get bored. You're done with the fundamentals, the basic building blocks of economics, and now we're going to Unit 2, which is microeconomics. And what I need you to know about microeconomics is this. Keep that word micro in your head, because in essence, in order to understand microeconomics, you need to kind of think about it as if you're looking under a microscope, right? We're going to take economies, largely mixed / modern economies and the free market economies, and we're going to put them basically under the microscope, and we're going to see the little interactions that occur. You're going to be looking at things like how businesses are set up. Not every business is the same. You're going to be looking at something called markets and how those markets are structured. We're going to be talking primarily about supply and demand, which is really a very useful and good bit of knowledge for you to have as you go on through life, because quite frankly, supply and demand is going to explain to you why anything costs what it costs. Why does Tom Brady get millions of dollars? Why did that Coke that you just bought out of the machine cost you $1.25? Why is a gallon of gas an average of $2.40? All of those answers will be provided through supply and demand. And above all else, well, not above all else, but before all else, we also have to get into something called the circular flow diagram, which is a circular flow diagram. So there is always a standard attached, obviously, to anything we do. Let's go ahead and show you that. It looks a little something like this. You'll see we have a new set of standards. It's SSEMI, or what these are called. Of course, social studies, economics, MI standing for microeconomics. And we're just going to focus on SSEMI 1, which tells you that you need to be able to describe how households and businesses are interdependent and interact through flows of goods, services, resources, and money. So make sure you understand what that term interdependent means. And essentially what we're just referring to is that they're related upon each other, that when we look at how households and businesses work, each one needs the other to kind of get by, right? Businesses need you and your household to buy those goods and services, and then you obviously need businesses to produce those goods and services that you need and want. So interdependent. Make sure you understand that. Let's take a look at A and B. They go something like this. A tells you that you need to be able to illustrate a circular flow diagram that includes the product market, the resource or factor market, households and firms. And then we go on down to B, which tells you to explain this real flow of goods, services, resources, and money between and among households and firms. So a couple of things that you should notice. You're going to need to understand the circular flow diagram. It says that you need to illustrate it, although on the test it's all going to be multiple choice questions, so you don't really have to be able to, but don't worry, we set up an assignment for you to be able to do that. And then you're also going to need to be able to understand what a product market is. What are we talking about when we mean the resource or factor market, and be able to tell the differences in those. And then in essence, again, not necessarily having to draw the circular flow diagram, you should be able to at least explain what's going on. And again, you'll be doing that in your assignment as well. So very much looking forward to seeing your work out of this. Let me give you a few more pieces of information before we go, though. Let's head on over to the board. All right, it's time to put my Bob Ross hair on here and try to do a little bit of art, although I'll go ahead and tell you I'm not very artistic, but I'm hoping that once you get done seeing what we're going to put up here, that it all makes sense to you. Regardless, when you talk about a circular flow model, the first thing I want to point out to you is that you'll notice that you have not only the product market listed up there, but you also have that resource, sometimes the factor market. Wanting to make sure you understand the differences between those two. And in this instance, you need to understand what we're talking about with a market. Everybody knows the word market. You know that you have the supermarket, right? You have that little piggy that went to the market. Every week there's a farmer's market. This isn't so much that physical place. Instead, this is that, hey, I'm in the market for a new car type kind of market. This is, hey, you've broken up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and so now you're in the market for a new boyfriend or girlfriend, or hey, maybe you are now off the market, right? And so the market itself isn't a physical place. What we're referring to is that thing that allows us to exchange goods and services. That's basically what we're referring to as the market. It's what allows producers and firms and businesses to give, sell, provide those items and goods and services to individuals, to households. And it allows households and individuals, therefore, to purchase or to get whatever it is that they need or want. Now, with this instance, there are two markets, the product market and the resource or the factor market. Very simply put, the product market, and this is where it's going to be tough, I'm really going to need you to pay attention. In a product market, we buy and sell products. You might need to write that down. I'll say it again. In a product market, we buy and sell products. However, in a resource market, or sometimes called a factor market, this is where it might get even more confusing, we buy and sell resources or factors of production. That's why we call it the factor market. You remember the factors of production, the land, the labor, the capital, and the entrepreneur that ties them all together to create the good or service. Yeah, see, it's coming back. That's why that's a fundamental, because you're going to have to know that stuff as you move forward. So, to recap, in a product market, products are bought and sold, and in a factor market or resource market, factors of production or resources are bought and sold. Got it? I really hope so. Notice that we have over here households and we've got businesses. These are very well drawn representations of households and of businesses. So let's just do a quick run around and tell you what I'm talking about. Here you are sitting in the household and you need a new pair of shoes. Okay, you're going to want to purchase that obviously from a business. Okay, so in a circular flow model, what we're basically showing is this interaction between businesses and households to provide the goods and services or to purchase the goods or services in that market. So what happens is in a household, you send money to the business. Right? There's our money. It goes to the business. And in return, what are you going to get? That's right, the actual product, the good and service. Okay? So, you send money to a business, in return, you get the good and service returned back to you. All that happening in the product market. Okay? Simple, yeah? Hopefully. Well, now this is where the next step happens, or the previous step, however you want to look at it, because it's all circular. What is the business going to do with that money? Well, they're going to invest it in their business, and then a large part of that money is going to go to buying more resources so they can create more products. So they take this money, and in the resource market, they are buying those resources from the household side, whether we're talking about labor, for example. Right? When they hire new employees to put those shoes together, that money is going from the resource market back to the households. And in turn, those households are using that money to buy more goods and services. The goods and services use that money to buy more resources, where then the households get that money and they buy more goods and services, et cetera, et cetera. And that money is flowing interdependently between businesses and households. In return, in the resource or factor market, what's coming back to the businesses? That's right, resources or factors of production. The land, the labor, the capital is all going back to the businesses to create the good or service that they will then give to the household. The household will then buy that, giving the business money. The business takes that money, buys more resources so that they can then get that FOP, so they can use it to produce more goods and services that they will sell to households. Households will give them money for those resources or for those goods. Man, I'm getting confused already too, but I'm hoping you're picking up what I'm putting down here. They take that money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the whole idea behind this circular flow model that I want you to understand is that it's a flow, a constant flow of money and goods and resources interacting between these two entities, households and businesses. That's the circular flow model. Now, as an early stage economist, I'm going to pose you a question because I'm hoping you'll be able to figure this out just by looking at it. I said that this is a representative or that this is representative of a certain type of economy. Remember, you learned about 4 different economies during fundamentals. You learned about traditional, you learned about the market or the free market system, you learned about the command economy, and you learned about the mixed economy. So you should be, right now, hopefully able to use that old noggin right there, looking at this poorly drawn circular flow diagram and explain to me, tell me which market that is, or which type of economy that is. I'll give you a minute. Well, not that long. Okay. This is a free market or market economy. And how do we know? Well, there's one thing missing here from that's typical in, say, the mixed economy. That's right. It's the government. The government is not in there. Okay, and so since there is no government, we obviously know it's a free market or market system. For the record, when you will see the government in there, the government will be located right in the middle. In a circular flow model, government's always going to be right there in the middle. And what do? Well, they do the same thing. They take money. They get money in from households in form of taxes. They provide public goods and services, and they spend that money out there. They're also getting money in the circular flow, and they are taking resources. They're buying things. They're buying labor. They're buying those resources, all that stuff, and they are also interacting. We don't see too much of that in our class, so I'm not going to speak about it too much, but it may come up in notes, so I wanted you to be aware of it. Regardless, that's it. That's the circular flow model. Making sure, again, that you understand the difference between product market and the resource market. Making sure you can interpret what's going on in a circular flow model and be able to explain it. If you can do that, then you are 1/3 of the way done with microeconomics. Still a couple more standards left to go, but we'll get to those eventually. In the meantime, if you have any questions, if you have any problems, if there's anything we can help you with, make sure you let your teacher know. I hope this made some sense of things. You take care of yourselves. Bye.